Hey everybody, it's Free-to-Play Bust kicking off expedition number 186. Getting pretty close to the milestone. We're at 49 7-win trials out of those 180 whatever. We're getting pretty close to hitting the 50 milestone. Pretty cool if you ask me. Nonetheless, we're going to pick up this Fiora here. We just did Callista in the previous run, and the one before this was most definitely Afterlife Callista. I forget what we paired it up with. It's been a few days since we did the run, but if you want to see a pretty good Callista run, you can check out the previous video. And then, not surprisingly, Heimerdinger was what we did 2 videos ago. That was this accelerated pursuit Heimerdinger, where we completely pivoted out of Heimerdinger, went into puff caps with Timo. Pretty cool run as well. And so if you're interested in seeing either of these style of decks, just go to the it should be in the playlist that has all of the Call of the Mountain things or whatever the recent videos are. So that's going to leave us here with this Suit Up Fiora. Let me take a moment. We'll get it pulled up on the site. If you're not familiar, it's ftpbust.com. Has all my various expedition-related content in one easy-to-find place. It's got the set reviews. Whenever a new set or expansion is released, the guide section has links to all of the YouTube videos. There we go. 185 was Callista, 184 was Heimerdinger. There we go. I knew that those were recent. And then, of course, the most popular thing, the tier list. You can either find your text version that's easy to control F, or the image version that is easier to just scroll through and see all at once. But nonetheless, the thing we'll be using here is the Expedition Helper. You just go to the little drop-down thing. We're going to scroll down to Suit Up Fiora, and this has all of the cards that live in the Fiora card pool. I haven't gone through and updated it with all the KDA cards. I guess I probably should, but I don't feel like I'm going to. It's just they're epic and they exist in all of the card pools. If you see one, great. It's probably, depending on the card, it's worth taking. There's my top-notch review. If it's the one that pulls champions out of your deck, it's fine. The recall one's fine. The other ones are fairly marginal. But here with the Suit Up Fiora, this pairs up with Sejuani. It's kind of centered on building one gigantic unit. It's supposed to be a going tall build around, which in my opinion is kind of scary these days, between Targon being so good, and then also having access to Hush and having access to Sunburst. It makes this a little bit scary when we're trying to play Redoubled Valor on a unit and then have our opponent just silence it and kill it all in one card. And so this kind of standalone Redoubled Valor, let's stack up a unit theme is kind of scary to pull off. But that's what the idea here is. This generally either goes in 2 directions. The most common thing is trying to build the Fiora OTK, where we're just going to try to kill 4 enemies with Fiora, and you really want to go after the barriers to help pull that off. So using Bright Steel Protector, Prismatic Barrier, and Riposte are the easier ways to go about that. And then the kind of fallback plan for that is just to have a bunch of challengers in your deck. The important things being like Laurent Cavalier. He's a great way to refill your hand should the Fiora plan go south. Otherwise, you're stuck with kind of doing it with Laurent Protege, who doesn't live here anymore. And so that's kind of what's going on here. It's a real combat-centric challenger pool based on barriers. Let's go back, see what we get in this second pack. At least I should say, with this Fiora as well, she's pretty good in the sense that we can build around Fiora. We can build the Fiora OTK deck, or just having a 3/3 challenger that your opponent is pretty scared of is also a fine thing to pursue. So with these choices here, we did get the partner pairing with the Sejuani. It's a pretty good set of cards, although we are having some real turds with the start of this, between Plucky Poro being pretty bad, Unscarred Reaver being pretty bad, but in general these cards are all pretty strong. Over here, I'm not a huge fan of Cloning Program Vi. This is a pretty good support card pool, which we could be looking to have with Fiora, but I don't like supporting Fiora with Piltover. There's just no combat tricks in here. You have access to Suit Up that makes a unit of 4/4. You have access to the rapid quick strike, whatever it's called, the 3-mana spell that gives a unit 3 attack and quick attack. Beyond that, there's just not a whole lot of combat-centric cards in this Vi. The same thing kind of applies down here with this Retribution Callista. This isn't a deck that really like thrives on having barriers. There's just not a whole lot of Demacia combos out of, I shouldn't say Demacia combos, there's not a lot of Demacia combos out of these Fiora cards that pair well with this, God, come on buddy, with this Retribution Callista. She pairs up with Lucian where there are reasonable cards like the 3/3 for 3 that draws a card if you have a dead unit, or things like Remembrance. But looking through those cards from the Fiora pool, there's just not a whole lot of synergy there. So we're going to take this Sejuani. Let me scroll back, scroll down to her pool. Sejuani and where are we at? Suit Up. Cool. And so again, this is kind of a go tall theme. I do tend to like the Sejuani Overwhelm decks more than whatever we could do with Fiora. So if we do see like a Noxus card, I am kind of tempted to just push this deck towards Overwhelms, where you have Sejuani, Ruthless Raider, Mighty Poro, Avarosian Outriders, not in this pool, but things like Alpha Wildclaw. And then I like to pair it with Noxus, where you just have a whole nother big pile of Overwhelm cards. But if that doesn't come together, if we do build around Fiora, there are a lot of combat tricks and health boosting cards between things like Elixir of Iron. I'm trying to think if the Fury of the North lives here. It does. There we go. There was Fury of the North. Troll Chant plays to this kind of theme okay. But you know, when I line up these rankings here, I have it lined up to where if we're trying to build around this card pool. So if we are looking to build around Sejuani, we're really looking more towards the Overwhelm theme. If we're looking to build towards Fiora, we're going to be looking towards these combat tricks. And so all in all, just kind of depends on how things fall. I'm not opposed to drafting either deck, but I do prefer to draft Sejuani. I think it's just a little bit more consistent and a little bit more powerful, especially again, like when we were talking about going tall being a little bit more difficult. It really sucks just to have your Fiora get aced by a silence, and so it is still doable. I think that Fiora is, kind of a mid to bottom tier 3 champion, and then I think Sejuani is a low tier 2, top tier 3 champion. And so, just in general, I think Sejuani is a little bit more powerful than the Fiora, and so that's where I would like this draft to go. But it's not so much more powerful that I would like to just completely ignore the Fiora themes that we have access to. So let's take this Sejuani and take a look here. Interesting. Well, the first thing that's I'm wanting to take a look at is do we have access to Noxus if we want to go for the Overwhelms, and we don't, which is fine. We can pretty quickly stay away from the Bilgewater cards. This raiding party does pair up with Gangplank, the idea being if you want to flip your Sejuani, you need to deal damage to your opponent on their turn. So you need to use things like Parlay, you need to use Make It Rains. I don't feel like this is a theme that we should really be branching out into. I don't think the payoff is huge as far as getting these boosts to Sejuani, into a lesser degree Wolf Rider. And so we're going to take one of these two. I am pretty low on Confront, but this pack does have a Prismatic Barrier. And then our other choice is just to continue on in the Suit Up pool with a standalone Wolf Rider. And this is what I think we would like to do here. I'm not huge on standalone since it got nerfed down to 4 mana. I should say nerfed up to 4 mana. You used to be able to make this play where you didn't play anything in the first 2 turns, and then you play Fiora on turn 3 and stand alone her. But you can't do that anymore now that this costs 4. I'm not sure if we should just be skipping over this Prismatic Barrier. I just think Confront is ultimately a pretty terrible card, and I don't really want it in our deck. And so we're kind of in one of these split spots to where out of these 4 cards, Prismatic Barrier is the best one, but Confront is the worst. And so it's do we want to take the good with the bad or the 2 mediums? And at this stage of the draft, I'm just going to take the 2 mediums. Okay. Interesting. So, we have lots and lots of choices here. You can, of course, just branch out into Targon, which isn't the worst with Fiora. It has access to the +2 health combat trick. It has Tayari, has the gems. A lot of ways to boost your Fiora back up if you get her into combat without a barrier. But I think the ones we want to take here are actually this Blade Keeper Duelist. I think these are just in general the best cards that we have access to here. Take Heart is pretty weak. Sharp Sight is okay, but not spectacular. You see it and just compare it to the Diana combat trick, whatever it's called. It's like, man, that makes me want to just jump into Targon to try to pick up the Diana trick. But I think that's a little bold. And so we'll just take the 2 good units down here. Okay. Here, I think I want to just lean towards the Overwhelm theme. We haven't seen any Noxus cards, and we really only have an opportunity to pick up one more. But I think, in general, these cards are going to be better. I really just don't want to be building around Fiora. We'll see how this run goes. I'm not opposed to taking like 2 Fioras, 2 Sejuanis, but I would probably very rarely do that. If our curve would have to get pretty out of hand for me to want to go that route. But it is an option that we can do. Here, we should be able to pick up a Battle Fury at some point. Same with this. I don't really like taking these 2 expensive cards together. And so I think this is all in all, just taking these Overwhelms down here is going to be a little bit more powerful. I guess I could have thought as well. I've been playing Noxus Overwhelms and Constructed with Targon, and it's like, well, you can pick up access to whatever the Targon Poro thing is, the 3/3 Nightfall that gets +2. You can pick him up, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening here. But here we do have the option to pick up a Noxus set of cards, which I'm fairly inclined to do. The rest of these cards are okay. I don't really want to be taking these Investigators because the only expensive spells will probably come across as like we might pick up a Harsh Winds, we might pick up a Battle Fury, but probably not going to have a lot of ways to activate this. And then the Silverwing Diver is just a weak unit. You do see the back-to-back as a way to activate this Investigator, but I don't think it's something we're really looking for. And I don't think we're going to get like super deep into Noxus, but I would like to pick up whatever Overwhelms that we can find here. So I am going to branch out into the 3rd faction with that last chance that we get. Okay. Not a horrible set of cards. Like War Chef's, it's still okay, but only having 2 attack has dropped his quality down quite a bit. And then the only thing that makes me really upset with trying to take a War Chefs here is our only challenger is Fiora right now. If we have like 2 and 3 challenger birds and maybe a Larent Protege, then his stock goes up quite a bit. But with the makeup of our deck now, he's just not that good. But the downside here is the rest of these cards aren't super good either. I don't really want another Unscarred Reaver. If we're going to take a 2-drop, then War Chefs is still fine. The Ember Maiden Spirit Walker don't play super well to our deck. We don't have a lot of the the Maiden does play well with the Battle Scars themes out of Noxus. It plays well with this Plunder theme between Sejuani and Wolfrider. Maybe that's enough to pick it up when it's over here with the Spirit Walker. But the big card I'm looking at here is just Elixir of Iron. These cheap combat tricks are so important in these decks where our curve tends to be a little bit bigger. We won't have a whole lot to do. Like, we only have 1 drop or 2 1-drops, I guess. It's really easy to have 1 spell mana banked up and then just go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 the rest of the game. And you just don't have the time to be playing like Prismatic Barriers and Ripostes. Like if it's turn 5 or turn 6 and we want to play Prismatic Barrier, then that really limits what we can follow it up with. Whereas, we can get into combat and win it with an Elixir of Iron. It just doesn't mangle our curve. And so I think as it stands, we have... we're going to be looking for a little bit more top end. That's the only reason I'd be cool to take the Spirit Walker here. But I think we shouldn't have too much trouble with another 7 picks in the draft, picking up 1 or 2 or 3 more expensive units. So I'm going to take the Elixir. Okay. Well, if we want to pick up the expensives, here's our chance to do it. I think I just want this Crimson Aristocrat though. We do have kind of like the sub theme of having tough units, and the Disciple's fine. We'll have ways that we can get some value out of this, and then it has an interactive unit to go along with it. Still want to get a Battle Fury, still wanting to get a little bit more top end, but I'm just going to keep taking these cheap cards while we have the chance to do it. Okay, here I'm not like super interested in Scorched Earth, but we don't have a whole lot of interaction. We've got 4 spells in our deck. What are these even? Elixir of Iron, Noxen Fervor, Prismatic Barrier, and Standalone. It's not fantastic, but it is an option. I don't think I want Chain Vest here. Redoubled Valor, I'm okay with typically with having one. I don't like having to go all in with this, but you know, spiking a Sejuani or a Reaver with Redoubled Valor is a huge problem for a lot of non-Targon decks. I think we can get by without having Scorched Earth. I think if this was Nox and Guillotine, I'd be kind of more inclined to take it, but I haven't been real big on this. I think it's pretty good and constructed where landmarks are running around, but with all of the landmarks being epic, it's just not that spectacular to me. So let's take the Redoubled Valor. Okay, this is what we're looking for here. Great. Got a piece of top end that we're looking for. He fits in the Overwhelm theme. And then on the opposite side, one of these really cheap one-cost combat tricks like we were talking about earlier. It's a great set of cards for us to pick up. Okay. Here, we can ignore these cheap combat or these expensive combat tricks, just not what we're trying to do. I think we're just kind of stuck with the Demolitionist Duelist. It doesn't really play well to the themes that we're doing, but they are cheap playable cards. This Unscarred Reaver is just not something that we're trying to play around. So I'll take the 2 mediocre cards as opposed to 1 mediocre card. Okay, interesting Battlesmith. I bet we don't even have any elites in our deck. You're not. Yeah, we don't have any. That's pretty easy to skip over. And so the next thing I want to look at is I don't think we're in one of these decks where Might is particularly good. You know, it lines up better when you have these, like the big Noxus deck with Reckless Trifarian and like the 5-attack 2-drop and stuff. I don't think we'll need it with Might. When we look, it's like Sejuani, Wild Claw, Reaver, Wolf Rider, like all have Overwhelm. So it's not a huge add to our deck. So, I mean, I don't really want this Scorched Earth, I don't think, but I think these will be the best 2 cards for our deck. Okay. All right. Well, this is an easy Protector Poro. It's got these Overwhelm units that we're looking for, and this is just an all-around pretty good value unit. Again, we don't want Confronts. We don't want Unscarred Reavers. Neither of these cards are powerful enough to make us want to take a nearly unplayable. So we can snatch this up pretty easy. Okay. Interesting set. I don't want this Trifarian Hopeful. We're never going to activate it. I'm moderately interested in Shunpo. I think this would be okay in this style of deck. And this is, you know, a 3-2 for 2 isn't the worst. We do have ways to kick this off. It's just never going to be kicked off on turn 2. But I'm kind of leaning towards one of these bigger units, whether or not it's the Spirit Walker or the Usgar. It's really close. Like his flip is good, and that getting, you know, a 6/6 for 5 is a great stat line. It's just we're not going to have a whole lot of units that we can activate that that additional bonus to. But he is a pretty reasonable guy. But then Usgar is pretty good interaction. I don't think this is a deck though that can really take advantage of Death Lotus. So I think we're cool with just the Yearling and the Spirit Walker. That's kind of close. Okay. I was going to say, I don't think we have any way to activate this Augur, so he's just not that great here. So let's get rid of the Plucky Poro and pick up a Redoubled Valor. We just have so many good targets with this. It will be pretty high risk, high reward, but it should never just be bad. You know, we'll just have to see how this pans out. I'm trying to think of how much Targon is still like boosted as far as showing the additional card bonuses is. There's a little bit in there, but not too much. I think this is okay. The Plucky Poro is the most unplayable out of all of these cards, and I just, you know, don't want Augur. The Spirit Walker for Yeti Yearling would be fine, but I think this Poro is just better to get out of here. It's just a dead draw so many times. All right, this came together reasonably enough. So we jumped into Noxus for the access to Overwhelms, and then those dudes just never showed up, but they at least did fill out like the bottom part of the curve, where Freljord typically has issues. We'd get some kind of incidental ways to deal damage to our opponent for Sejuani. It's not the end of the world. Let's see. I'm real tempted to keep Sejuani. It's one of these awkward things where in the in this round we only have the 2 champions in our deck, and so I don't really like to give up on them. When we only have the 1 chance to draw it. So I think we'll hold. We have enough like early game interaction between the Stalking Wolf Chain Vest that we can probably survive till Sejuani can come down. Here, I'm not going to add the Unscarred Reaver. We're not going to get any value out of this, whereas we can get some value out of giving our Stalking Wolf Chain Vest.
We see through all.
See how this goes. If we get a spell trade out of this, that'd be pretty good. Yep.
An auspicious season.
That's fine. He gets a little bit more value out of this, since his unit doesn't die, and he gets the +1/+1 in his deck. But all in all, I think this is a pretty good spot to be in, especially when we're about to add, War Chef's Fiora to complement our Stalking Wolf.
Gotcha.
Save your world.
Fiora should be pretty good at getting him to not attack. He can still attack with Trapper, but we got a lot of shutdowns next turn. Bigger. Would we rather do this than War Chefs? Probably. Let's go ahead and make Fiora huge.
I need only 1 to win.
This is kind of one of the big things with Fiora, right? We're certainly not playing a Fiora OTK deck here, but I mean we have a lot of power that we can run into this guy, and it's pretty intimidating. He's gonna have to answer this Fiora at some point.
I never hold back. On guard.
So at least just do this. We're never gonna like OTK with Fiora, and let's at least get the utility off his board here. We have the opportunity to do like Sejuani and War Chef things in the following turn, so I mean we can still threaten to flip.
What did we catch?
Okay, I think this is our best blocker at the moment.
By my honor, you must die.
Okay, this Fiora's gonna win a combat. I think that's okay. Unless he just hooks one of my Fioras. If he hooks our Fiora, we're pretty okay with it. You have to assume he's not gonna be able to OTK with this if he's dropping down below 3 spell mana.
Try me.
It's like, how greedy do we want to get here? As we do have these big Sejuani plays that we can make.
On guard. Try me.
Interesting. He must just be worried about like a Radiant Strike. So I guess he probably can't do anything in this combat if he's worried about a +1/+1, right? We'll go with that standpoint. I think we need to keep this Fiora. We're about to make her stronger with the War Chefs. So let's just block and prevent some damages here.
Your path
We're going to put the little damage on the Yeti. I'm planning on just hitting it with Sejuani.
Flavor and spice.
Flavor and spice. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this seems pretty reasonable. Oh, man, I had to check that. It's really unfortunate we don't have the mana to kick that off in this spot.
Born for conquest.
Feel the sizzle.
On guard.
Let's go ahead and get this hook in. I don't think we're going to get better value out of the Stalking Wolf the rest of the game. And so we'll lose our War Chefs to do this, but
Tread carefully.
if things go right here, they're going to go very right. If he has a... It's like if he has
Well fought.
a harsh winds and things are going to go very wrong, but we can answer this pretty easily. This Brittle Steel is going to be good here, and we're starting to threaten this OTK with Fiora. Isn't negligible. Oh boy, I mean we just full on got it, right?
I've got these.
Smell that? A fight's a cooking.
Alright, that causes problems because now we can't Brittle Steel this Yeti. But we can still get by here without dying. This is okay.
Oh, if mushrooms.
Is this gonna kill us? Good block here. Can't block this. That's 5, 8. Okay, we're fine.
Batter him! I'm through waiting.
Oh man, he's just gonna let us get Fiora in on this thing.
Can't fight on an empty stomach.
That's suspect.
Is this supposed to be a challenge?
5, 9, 12. Can only do +1 damage. I don't think it super matters here. We're just dead if if this goes wrong. Okay, okay. So we should be good, right? We have to assume he doesn't have a Brittle Steel, or just any like real combat trick. So,
My shield is yours.
let's see if we can pull this off. Nice. That's like exactly why I say Fiora could be a reasonable support champion, right? We didn't go out of our ways to be a Fiora deck. We're not going to take any more Fioras, but your opponent definitely has to respect what she can do. So cool. We approached that pretty well. Cool. Yeah, let's pick up this other Sejuani. Certainly don't want Vladimir. The Fiora, again, we're just not building around this. We're going to win our games overwhelming with these big boys, or big girls in the case of Sejuani. And so this is all cards that we're extremely happy to pick up here. And so, kind of like as far as this deck goes, I would like to pick up like one other big card besides Sejuani, maybe two, just to flesh out this top end here. And then we just need some interaction. I think we'd be pretty good to go. I don't want our interaction to just be limited to like Nox and Fervor or the Scorched Earth. I'd prefer to find like a Detain or a Concerted Strike. Just one of the better interactive spells to kill stuff. We can't really do that as our deck stands. All right. Did we win? All right. Bonus 1x. Jesus. All right, let's keep some of these cheap cards. Not a huge fan of the Trifarian, but I guess if we're going to be on the odd attack token, having a good solid dude to play on 3 is not the end of the world. It's just I don't think like the chunk damage we're going to get out of this is super important. I'd rather this just be like Loyal Badger Bear or something that can block or have a little bit more utility than raw stats half the time. Getting them. Let's start leveling up this Sejuani. Is this Jinx Draven? Playing the old scrap heap. Oh man, and I had to bring up one of my topics earlier on the old Reddit where I think a lot of these games now catch a bad rap because I call it the World of Warcraft problem, right? Where World of Warcraft came out, it was the hot MMO, and then whenever a future MMO came out, everybody expected it to have all the same features. But Warcraft was released in like 2004, and then newer MMOs started coming out like 2007 and 2008, and whenever they come out, people would be like, "Oh man, I want." Let's see here. This Trifarian's fine here. People start being like, I want the auction house. I want all this PvP and battlegrounds and arenas, and then other people have been like, I want all these raids at launch and all this stuff, and it's like, World of Warcraft had been out for a multitude of years at that point, and it's just like it's hard to catch up, and everybody's wanting their one specific thing that just isn't there. It's like I was thinking about it for one reason or another with Runeterra, and then I was sitting there thinking like, with like Hearthstone, there's like all the random stuff you can click on the board, and on this, it's like you just have like the little bird thing over here we're clicking, and I guess like the rainbow thing up here probably does something. But I did notice with the KDA board, you can click on it, and like the little lights follow your mouse cursor. It's like there we go. These things do make an appearance. You just gotta wait for it a little bit. But aside, we're gonna get our big boys online here. I'm pretty cool with trading our. I don't think we'd probably drop our Stalking Wolf into Precious Pet after our opponent just plays Jinx. Probably just gonna hook her. Right, he has to have a plan for this, but we do have 2 combat tricks in our hand. So I think we'll be able to take her down pretty readily. She just may not be a big part of his plan, given the board state, and if he has a bunch of expensives and doesn't plan on ever flipping her. But let's see how it goes. I assume he's at least going to block one thing. We might have a chance to play some spells here. Oh, give an ally barrier. There we go. I'm fine to lose all these other combats. Cool. There is the argument to just let him die here so we can try to stand alone our Demolitionist. That just seems kind of thin. If we want our units to die, we can get them to die. We'll get a standalone eventually.
The main event.
Kind of just want to get dude on board. How bad is this if he doesn't attack? It's pretty bad.
Let us settle this with grace and civility.
But this all seems pretty reasonable. Thinking on it. Thinking on it hard. Glory Seeker, sure. I just want to have more dudes on board than you do at the end of the turn.
Don't underestimate me.
Why even try?
I think we just want to let this fall. Right, all his units are going to die. We're going to have one. There is a chance he can follow up with a unit that kind of sucks, but I don't feel like I really need to hang on to any of these units with our remaining combat trick. I'm pretty interested in just standaloning this thing while we have the chance to play it. Alright, this doesn't seem too greedy. It's pretty hard for him to just play 2 units here. Or hang on, then we can't Spirit Walker if we do that. Oh no. Sure.
It's Draven time. For the honor of my house.
Not super scared of Draven right here. Not super scared. Where are we at? Come on, bud. We got teammates. Come on. Come on.
Who am I? Who are you?
Yeah, you gotta be sure to get the kitty mid game here. If you don't pay enough attention, then he'll just jump up here and call the shit out of my arms. Come on, dude. There we go. This is kind of unfortunate. Nothing we could do about that.
Just need a second.
Okay. I think we can still just get him here. When a Nox Cry Arena. Your strongest and the weakest enemy strike. Okay. Does this go on the stack? I guess we're about to find out. Nope. That's a little unfortunate. We would have done things a little bit differently if we knew how that was going to work.
Clear it out.
This is okay. It's pretty suspect that he didn't play anything here. I guess he's going to have like a whirling death. I think given what we have in hand, we'll be able to get him good here. He hasn't just slammed it out, but it seems like this is a place where he's like, I'm going to Demolitionist in front of something and Whirling Death the other thing and just empty out this board. We can clearly just dominate that play.
Your path ends here.
Alright, well. We're getting big old boy on board. This seems like he'll be okay. Brothers Bond up this by 2. So that this can strike our weakest unit. Our weakest unit's gonna become Enraged Yeti. That's fine.
Let fury spill from the sky.
Let's just full clear his board. This is gonna kill our weakest unit anyways, so let's go ahead. Or hang on. What if if we put the 3 damage? Yeah, this is better, right? Let's put the 3 damage here. Kill this thing, and then Draven is gonna try to fight our Yeti. Okay, that's a little better, right? That's a little better. Welcome to the arena, bitch. Can't be what he was hoping for. He just can't get ahead on board now, right? This game is just over. Captain Farron doesn't get him out of this one. Sure. Almost want... Oh no, our guy has Overwhelm because of this thing. This is fine. We'll just need to make sure we attack with the Ursine on the right. Sure. Okay. Good game, friend. Whee! All right, cool.
Strike at their foundations.
There we are. It's attack with the Ursine on the right. If he dies in combat, then our units here can lose Overwhelm. Okay. Good game, friend. Let's see, what are we doing here? Really tempted to just take out this Scorched Earth. I think it's probably a little greedy to be doing that since our removal is so bad. I would like to have Battle Fury, but again, it's like one of the things, these show up so frequently. The Yeti Yearling, it's not like super impressive, but it's something to do early. That picking up these Yetis is always pretty reasonable. So let's get rid of Chain Vest. If we were in one of these decks that had a whole bunch of challengers in it, like if we were built more towards Fiora than built towards Sejuani, I'd be more interested in this, but I just don't think this is like a spectacular card. It doesn't pan out for enough value very frequently. So the barrier is not, I did go on a big spiel about wanting the one cost combat tricks, but that's more so Elixir of Iron and Brittle Steel and Radiant Strike, Elixir of Wrath, the good ones. Chain Vest just isn't one of the good ones. Okay. Oof. You get the pregame stretches in. Alright, we're good to go. Let's battle. Slow stuff. Sure. You don't see a whole lot of Karma Articuno. Let's see. I guess we can keep Fiora. When did we pick up a second redoubled Valor? I don't remember that. Okay. I guess it's happened. And well, there's the Fiora draw. Jeez. How do we want to go about this? I think we just keep passing.
Always 2 steps ahead.
Yeah, it's tough for them to interact with her. Like, he could play a unit that we just can't get into combat with, but if we get the standalone play off with the 2 barriers, it's a pretty good spot to be in.
For the honor of House Laurent.
I'm not sure if this is always going to be big, but his idea was to just play his card after we play Fiora, and I think it's pretty cool to just cancel that. We do need to get on board now. Right, I don't think that 3 damage is ever super important. Not with this style of deck. We're just going to be like rolling through for like 14 damage Overwhelm in a turn. The 3 damage would be really important if we were like a Scrap Heap deck or we were a Puff Cap deck. But I think when our opponent's just like, yep, we're just going to let him attack, we're in a pretty reasonable spot there to just skip it. We've kind of decided we're never flipping this Fiora, but I think she's brought enough thunder to the table here to just start going face. This dude's super far behind now.
Come on in.
Sure. Cool. that no attack for him is not nearly as good as a no attack from us. We are certainly okay with that.
Bow to no one.
Let's just keep slamming into this dude's board. Planning on hooking Usari with Stalking Wolf and then just blasting with all these overwhelms. Depending on what he adds, might Still Protect or something else. But it doesn't seem fantastic. It's still worth an attack here, I think. Let's see. Let's protect this thing.
My shield is yours.
And we can bury our Sejuani if we need to. I don't think we'll need to, though. I don't think Noxus Blast works like single combat.
Beauty charms while claws take hold.
Blood on the snow.
There's some games, like there's some cards in Magic
Spring
where
is
like
not
the
getting
unit
winter.
actually does the damage and not the spell that does the damage, is why I wanted to stop and read it.
I'll protect the villages.
Okay. Cool, works
My
for me.
duty's done.
We still have a pretty spectacular board here. Sure. We ramped a lot better than you did, Ga. Oh, feel the rush. Oh man, somebody's getting the new cards. Sure. This is Karma and Nivea? Oh god. Okay.
The spirit of winter awakens.
I have always wanted to kill a demigod.
These barriers kind of suck because we're gonna get hit by Nivea.
I'll
But
try
I mean, we can
anyone
block
more.
this stuff. He just doesn't attack. This dude's in love with not attacking. Okay. It's pretty suspect, but
This
I mean,
is our time.
this is like our only chance to win. Like he's trying to be super cute here, but
within.
like there's a good chance we just die to this flipped karma. But I mean, this is our opportunity to punch in overwhelm damage while he can't do anything about it.
Ride onward.
I love a taste of the action.
Not that one.
Try me.
If it's a fight they want. Let's talk about your tab. I've carved meat bigger than you.
Got meat bigger than you. What the fuck does that even mean? Okay, well anyways, let's overwhelm here. We have to get lucky to win this game. We just have to hope that this guy was being too cute for his own good. But I mean, this is pretty much our only way to get through this, right? This is kind of like when your opponent plays the harrowing. I mean, if you get hit with the harrowing, then you know, congratulations to your opponent. But yep.
Look what you. Oh, this hurts. Protect House Laurent.
She flips and does 2, right? Should have protected something there. That was a little spewy. I just kind of had in my head, it's like, well, we're either just gonna win or we're gonna lose right here. I guess we could have lined that up just a little bit better. I don't really want to save Fiora or anything. I kind of wanted to save the what's this called? The Disciple. Okay. Sure.
I bring the storm.
Let's take this outside.
Does 2 have to bury our Sejuani? Then are we dead if we don't block? Nope. Okay. We're just gonna be ultra greedy here. Oh, we're gonna lose our Sejuani. All right, let's just go ahead and let this one in. I mean, that's whatever. I mean, I think we played that game fantastically. You can't just be sitting around being like, man, I wonder if our opponent has Feel the Rush or whatever that one's called. It's just, that's whatever. I feel like against that deck and that opponent, like we just win like every single game. I shouldn't say every single game. I was like, I bet we win like 95% of the games where they don't have Feel the Rush, and then probably win like half of them that they do. It's just kind of is what it is. Nonetheless, let's get this Unscarred Reaver out of our deck. This is another one of the large overwhelms we're looking for. It's just kind of, we'll be looking to pick up one more Sejuani, this Tusk Raider. We should be pretty good with our big overwhelms. I wouldn't mind picking up Mighty Poros and the Noxus 4-3 for 3, whatever it's called. I wouldn't mind picking up some of that stuff, but we should be pretty good on our top end from this point forward. Oh my gosh, go away. But I mean, maybe that's what you should get. You know, if you get stuck into having to draft Karma Articuno, then Riot should just give you 2 or 3 Feel the Rushes just to balance things out, because those pools are garbage. I should just be glad that we didn't get blasted by Elnix. That's what tends to happen in those situations. We're gonna run into the Bannerman deck. Looking at here, I was trying to decide if we wanted to hang on to Wolf Rider. I don't think we do. If we were on the evens, then we'd be considering taking it. I gotta click on all these boards now that I know the KDA board has effects. See, I just clicked on this dude's thing, and clicking on the little dog up here, it's doing stuff. So maybe it's just the old ones that don't have these sweet abilities.
Finger on the trigger.
Sure.
Flavor and spice.
I think we're gonna open get him here. we're just running out. Oh, there's a Fiora. Never mind. Alright, never mind. I was like, we're just running out the war chefs, and we're gonna stand alone it. But that plan just immediately changes when you have this war chef Fiora into your opponent's 1 attack unit.
On guard.
Eat up, friend.
It should be pretty safe. We have the elixir in hand for this turn and some other choices for our future turns. We're not planning on winning the game with this Fiora, but he is going to have to dump a whole bunch of resources into her.
Injustice!
Okay. Do we... It's tempting. It's like, do we ever need to save our barrier? I mean, I don't think so. I think if he had a combat trick, he would have just been at last turn. Let's at least keep this Corsair from attacking.
In range.
A delicious challenge.
Cool. So that's pretty good for us.
No equal.
He's gonna have a big time open next turn, and then we're just threatening lethal with with these OTKs and having a barrier. So cool, yeah. I'm pretty happy with that outcome.
Hand to the face.
On guard.
No one goes hungry.
And I don't think this is a spot where we wanted to start dropping units. I think this is a pretty good open. as it stands, when you have this 3-tick Fiora, he can't really attack into her anymore. Okay.
Strike without worry.
Spending those resources, Chaos Crash. I mean, we're just getting so far ahead because he has to devote so much to just not dying. Like, what's he supposed to do now? He can't play any 1 or 2 attack units. He just loses.
Safeguard our citizens.
And he missed. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. This is not Chaos Crash's game.
For king and country.
Okay. I mean, we're not going to bother. Well, I mean, he's just not going to attack is what this is going to amount to. But, I mean, maybe we do just drop the Wild Claw in front of Garen. He's got a 1-mana combat trick. We want to get it. Oh, well. Let's see. There's a non-zero chance that he just like pops this with a real problem, but okay, cool. So maybe we are the Fiora deck. She's won 2 out of our 3 games. Okay, well. Why do you have to do this? Why do you put the Tusk Raider over here with Fiora? That's what we're taking. It's just it's so powerful. And it's not like a direct replacement as having 3 Sejuanis, but it's fairly close. It's just too powerful to pass up. Nothing down here, Vladimir. Okay. I guess we ended up with the 2 and the 2 split. We kind of talked about it earlier. Didn't really want to do it, but when it comes to picking up the Tusk Raider, I'm pretty okay with it. Right. Let's take this Tusk Raider to the end. Okay, so I mean, we're certainly keeping the war chefs. It's kind of the spot to where, you know, if we hit reasonably, we can pop off this Wolf Rider. That would be nice. Even if it doesn't pan out, just playing him on 4 is okay. It's not like we have a whole lot to be ramping to. But I think we're at a pretty reasonable spot to be plundering on turn 4 between the 2 Ruthless Raiders.
The Winter's Claw.
Certainly doing it this turn, am I right? We stall so long, therefore that's kind of awkward. We send cost 5 now, in case you weren't aware. He got nerfed just a little bit. Point of cost and a point of health, up to 5 and up to 5.
I won't stand by.
Okay.
Fight or die.
Yeah. Trying to think how much we super care about even catching this mana gem.
I'll take on anyone.
Well, it's close. We just don't have any big ramp targets. Sejuani. But I mean, we can just play Sejuani next turn, like on our next attack. The thing that makes this awkward is like I don't really want to play like 2 of these 2s, and he doesn't have anything worth dual listing.
Leave nothing standing.
Let's just go ahead and try to ramp. Just gonna eat this for value, which is kind of okay. Not that great, but not the end of the world. We're still getting this chunk damage in, which is the important thing here.
We feast tonight, Varg.
Let's feast, Varg. Get that food in. Yeah, I mean, that seems reasonable. You can play 2 dudes next turn, bank up to 3 spell mana for this Nox and Fervor, then Sejuani on our next go round. That seems
Let
awful.
none disturb my meditation.
Interesting. Why? Why would he add this to the board here? Sure. I mean, we just want our big boys out here now, right? Let's play Crimson Disciple. We can throw it in front of the Mountain Goat if we want. I'd rather his units be off the board. So we can try to get into combat here. It's kind of one of these things to where if he wants to twin disciplines up a Mountain Goat, we're pretty okay with it.
Fierce and fashionable.
Just want to fully bank. We're not going to Fury of the North anything this turn. This is all okay. We can even just eat all this if we want. That's a little more on the dangerous side, but I think it's okay. I think he's probably just got Dragon's Protection, Mountain Goat, and attack with both of these
Fast
things.
as wind, light as air.
What do I know? What do I know? Staying with 2 mana?
How dare you!
Okay. Let's just keep this board clear. That makes me happy. Like a Blessing of Targon? Oh, a Rush. Okay. Sure.
It cuts.
Protect them.
Okay, I don't think he's ever just gonna like kill us with this
Feel no
this
fear,
solitary monk, so let's
show
at least
no
try to
mercy.
limit the spells he gets out of Mountain Goat. The water. Life is hard sometimes. Okay, sure.
The sun's
Bit awkward, but not the end of the world.
Ever vigilant.
I think probably should have done it the other way. If he has the +2 health thing on this Leona, this is going to be fairly bad. Whereas if we switched him around, we could have hit her for 7. It feels like he has the +2 health spell from a couple combats ago. Okay.
Sun sets.
One star's whoopsie
Should
is
discard
another
Jim.
spark.
Cool. Okay. Sure, what we have been looking for at the Sketcher.
Extend your senses.
We have to keep adding. There's a reasonable chance he doesn't attack here. It could be tough for him to actually have 2 spells if he wants to attack with Lee Sin. He can Dragon Protection Barrier it, or Dragon Protection Challenger attack and not really need Barrier, but I think this is okay.
The dragon protects.
I need no weapon.
Prepare yourself.
We probably have to block this thing at this point. I guess it's pretty reasonable just to put Sejuani in front of it and barrier her. Oh, awesome. So the new question we have now is if we want to try to flip the Sejuani next turn and win combats that way. We can throw this thing at his face and then try to get an overwhelm damage in. I kind of like it. Let's do 3 here. Go face. This will get Sejuani up to 4 ticks. And then we should pretty reasonably be able to like flip Sejuani with one of our overwhelms and then hit with the second overwhelm, not lose too much. Let's see if we can't just win the game as well. Just winning the game is also a pretty viable strategy. That's a one way to achieve success.
A cut above the rest.
Okay. Wanted to do this. I want to do this.
Leave nothing standing.
This. This.
You would be right to
This.
fear me.
Lee Sin comes down here. Okay.
If I must. As fate wills.
Okay. He's got to have a spell here, right? He's going to have a Twin Disciplines or something. He's playing Lee Sin. Yep.
I'll see this through.
Sure.
Conflict is all in the mind.
Got all kinds of spells down here. That's fine. It's a little on the scary side, but not the end of the world. That was a pretty good Whimsy.
Only the strong survive.
So the big unfortunate's we didn't get that second overwhelm hit in to protect the rest of our units. Kind of hoping we would our second overwhelm would have popped off, so nothing from Sejuani down would have taken damage. Can't play Fiora till after he attacks. It has to be should be pretty tough for him to at least threaten our Sejuani. He can probably take down our large duelist though.
Proud warriors of the sun's true light.
I'll see this through.
Okay.
Strike firmly.
Who you gonna pick, friend? Who you gonna pick? So this isn't super good for us. Okay.
I will not hold back. Follow. Center your spirit.
Out of 5? Sure.
Outrageous.
They would fall by my blade.
He just has too much health to be like we're too far away. Like there would be a lot of situations where you want to chunk 6 damage onto this thing.
Tremble
But,
before the winter's claw.
So he just has too much health on board to really risk our Sejuani like that. he's got quite a few stats. I don't think we can attack here. Well, if we hit with Sejuani and the Reaver, yeah, he can say put Lee Sin in front of Sejuani, put one of these things here. But I don't. This is kind of the situation. Is well, we aren't just dead to a dragon kick, but we're pretty close to it. I think we do need to try to get some of the stuff off the board. This is going to fail a lot of the time because we're just going to lose a unit a lot of the time. But I think we need to just try to wear down some of these things. And then if he just does it wrong, then the Sejuani flip will protect our Fiora. Right? If he wants to block Jeweled Protector, then this will flip. But I have to imagine he's going to put Lee Sin on Sejuani, Jeweled Protector here, let this survive, and then probably just open kill us back with a spell or two. He has perfect information. We don't have any cards in our hand, but I think we never win this game just passing, and we need to give him the chance to fuck up. And so that's what this attack here amounts to. Sure.
I'll see this through. I
don't think we have anything in our deck that can get us out of this. Maybe I don't think Scorched Earth does it. Yeah, there's not. He does have to be kind of afraid because Harsh Winds is a card, but I don't think the chance your opponent can top deck a Harsh Winds is enough to keep you from opening here. Yeah, we're just dead. Save some time. Let's see.
They left me alive. That was a mistake.
Let's see. Cool with getting rid of this. I really don't want this Reckless Trifarian in our deck. We have a non-zero number of combos with this guy. Handy some interaction. I think that's a pretty easy take here. These are pretty even. I do kind of like the Mighty Pour a little bit more than the Raider, but it's not enough to make me want to make a trade. And then Scorched Earth, we haven't drawn it yet, but it's our only, kill a unit interaction, so picking up a Might isn't super important with this deck because everything already has Overwhelm. So, pretty happy to pick this guy up. Okay. See how this goes. The last time I had to split up the run, I came in this kind of same spot where it was like we'd already lost the last one, came back in, lost, got very sad. we gotta get this to 7. We gotta get that 50th 7 winner. So let's see how this goes. Not a super exciting start. Not like if we were on the evens, I'd be kind of interested in keeping this Laurent Duelist. Kind of the idea being if our opponent plays Z on 3, then we can hook him down on 4. But being on the even attacks or on the odd attacks, we wouldn't be able to pressure one of his Zeds until turn 5, which is just a little bit too late to make me want to keep that unit. Mistwraith. Pretty willing to just go ahead and trade for these.
This land is
He shouldn't be in like a Mistwraith deck. This is probably a pretty low value Mistwraith, but I don't want him getting like really ahead on board here. Just a two mana for 2 mana trade's not a huge deal. I think we might get ourselves into the spot that we were in the previous games to where our opponent passes to us and then gives us an opportunity. Well, interesting. How bad is this? That's so scary. Why would he just do this? There's no way he just runs a Z out here, right? Let's just pass. This is gonna be gross. Because this open is horrible for us. I think we just have to eat it though. What? What? Oh, what? Okay.
My shield is yours.
I mean, it feels like he had if not a brittle steel, or not a brittle steel, but like a radiant strike or something. That is just so suspect that he would not attack with Zed there. Now that we have the barrier, I feel a little bit better about this. I don't think we want to be redoubled valoring here.
Let them eat souls.
En garde.
Let's just see if we can't get this hook, and then we can barrier after he plays his trick. Just no trick?
Back to your
Okay.
shadows.
That's fine with me. I mean, against a Zed deck, I feel like going into the sixth turn at full health with one of their Zeds being dead, probably pretty good for us. No, I guess that makes sense. That's one way to do it, but it's okay. We still have our barrier to deal with him next turn.
Oh, I can't wait.
He knew he was doing something tricky. Sure. Oh man, this tri-faction deck hitting allegiances must be nice. Must be nice. Sure. Oh boy. Okay. Guess he can't attack with all of this. I guess he can leave his Wraith color behind or something. Sure. He doesn't attack with Zed. Interesting. Okay. We just have to get our units in front of what we can here. We just can't block these down here. Okay.
Press on.
Interesting. Down to 12. It's a little scary. It's not as bad as it could be, but
You own what you take.
wow. I mean, I guess at this stage, like he could have traded out, some portion of his deck, but that's pretty brutal to see some dude playing a 3-faction deck with his Zed active that hits both of his allegiances onto Shadow Isles. It's pretty brutal.
Delicious.
What? Can do some good combating here. I'd rather try to get through this turn with Prismatic Barrier as opposed to Brittle Steel. So if we need to reduce the attack of a unit at some point in the future, we have ways to go about that. Right? If, say, he attacks with all of these units, we might need to Brittle Steel something to keep ourselves from dying. Whereas this barrier is just going to help us not lose a combat. Doesn't actively help us not die. Okay. All right, let's block some stuff.
Leave no
Get you here, you here. How does this look?
Darling.
Yes, we can prevent 5. Taking 8 is moderately scary because he can hit us with Doom Beast. I guess we probably don't need to get in
Let's see what you can do.
the damages off of this. I feel a lot better just falling to 5.
The calm before the storm.
And we should probably just go ahead and Prismatic Barrier this guy down here. We're going to play Redoubled Valor on it. I want to ensure that these don't just have 1 health, right? If we go to Redoubled Valor, big boy here, and then our opponent has Unspeakable Horror, then we're pretty hosed. And I think, as things stand, we should be okay if we're getting in for 14 overwhelm damage here. And then yes, I understand this isn't plundered, but we're not going to have any way to actually plunder this. And
I see the beast inside, Shaman.
we could have banked 3 spell mana into the next turn, but that's okay. Oh boy, see how those mathematics work there? And the Unspeakable Horror? Look at that. Oh man, free-to-play bust calling it like it is. Man, we're just going to be a damaged sword on this kill, though, is the problem. Well, he at least has to block everything. We're 1 short on the kill, but we're going to be knocking down 3 of his units here. Okay. Are you kidding me? Okay. I mean, what are you gonna do? We played it the best way you could go about it, but wow. I mean, what a deck. That's what an exercise in high rolling. I don't want to be too salty about it, but it's just like, seeing a 3-faction deck hit all their Wraith Callers, play it perfectly to play around both their Doom Beast and their Unspeakable Horror, just to have them hit the top deck for the kill. That's savage. But we'll live to fight another day, I guess. There's not a whole lot you can do about that. So, I mean, this came together okay. I was happy how this panned out. Fiora did get 2 of our wins, which is, wow, I'm cool to have Fiora in these style of decks. She can threaten to just pop off on your opponent, or even if you're, say, against, like, Invokes and they have a lot of just, like, 1-attack units, she can threaten some kills. I'm just not real comfortable making these decks that are just, like, all-in Fiora OTKs. I think that there's just so many ways for it to go wrong, and then you're just kind of left in a spot to where, you don't have a whole lot of board left after you've like really invested in this Fiora. And so, I mean, there used to be, a handful of cards, but now that, there's so many silences running around, I'm just not a huge fan of the OTK. I am a huge fan of this Overwhelm deck. I mean, a lot of these games we lost, like, the loss there was to, what felt like incredible high rolls. I don't like to yarn on about luck too much, but I feel like we executed that game pretty close to perfectly. We played around like everything, like we called the shots of what we were exactly playing around. We did it, and then he just found the way to survive it. Whatever, it is what it is. And then the other game we lost to Feel the Rush or whatever, make 20 stats of champions is. And so, I mean, it wasn't ultimately a 3 wins. It's not a huge success, but I'm content with how a lot of those failures came through. But sorry, I got to get the saltiness out of me and let the salt aside go on. But nonetheless, back to this. I'm pretty happy with how this panned out. I think the kind of dive into Noxus is very good here. Like these Sejuani Darius, Sejuani Draven style decks are just extremely good to where you're just playing this full stack of Overwhelm units. You're also able to just kind of do it with Targon now as well when you're adding in the 3/3 for 3 with Nightfall. But I'm a big fan of this, right? You're going to try to find all of the overwhelms that you can, starting at about the 3-drop spot. So, you're looking for Mighty Poro or whatever the 4/3 is out of Noxus. In the 4s, there's just Wolf Rider. At 5, there's Scar Maiden Reaver. Oh, cool, we did hit them all. There's like Tusk Raider. This is just essentially what this deck looks like is, once you get past the 4-drop slot, it's just all overwhelms. And it's pretty good at, just stalling out the board and then getting in these big attacks for 10, 15 damage all at once. Big fan of the Overwhelm theme. Plays extremely well against things like the Invokes. The Invoke decks are extremely weak to Overwhelm, and it's just in general what one of the stronger decks is. And so, there were kind of two things here. If you do want to go down this route of building around Fiora, you're going to want to find every barrier that you can. So you're going to place a pretty high value on Prismatic Barrier and Riposte. Or if you're on the other side of this with Sejuani and you're going this Overwhelm plan, that's what we were doing here. I do like pairing this up with Noxus if you're able to find it. If you can't find Noxus, it's not the end of the world. There are still quite a few Overwhelms in Freljord. There's your Ruthless Raider. We just went over him a second ago. The Mighty Poro. I think we hit them all. Wolf Raider, Scar Maiden Reaver, or Sign Spirit Walker, Alpha Wildclaw. There's enough. There's enough Overwhelms in Freljord to just pull this off as well. But the things that you're going to be kind of looking for, you need to be really mindful of your curve. If it costs more than 4 mana, you need to watch yourself as far as adding it to your deck goes. As you can see with this one, we did ignore one of the Sejuanis. This is one of the few times we just dropped down to 2 Sejuani because our curve was starting to get out of hand, but we also did just get to pick up the Tusk Raider there. But, as in general with all these runs, be really mindful of your cards that cost more than 5. Try to make sure that they're a card that you specifically want in your deck, and it's not just something that you're taking because the other cards are particularly bad. In general, taking a mediocre cheap card is much, much better than taking a mediocre expensive card, and so you just kind of let these expensive cards fall to you. When it comes to your combat tricks, you're going to be looking for these cheaper ones, predominantly Brittle Steel, Elixir of Iron, Elixir of Wrath out of Noxus, and then to a lesser degree, you don't really want things that give tough. You do want Radiant Strike. Just these 1 mana cheap ones are ultra important because we're going to be pulling these things off to where we're going to have a turn 2 Disciple, a turn 3 Mighty Poro, turn 4, we're going to play a Wolf Rider, and you just don't really have a spot in your curve to be playing Prismatic Barriers, right? If it's on turn 5, you want a Prismatic Barrier, that's probably going to be the end of your turn. It's just ultra important to just be playing big dude every turn. It's not a big deal if it's, turn 6 and you're only playing a 5-drop and then playing Elixir of Iron, but it is a big deal if it's turn 6, you're only playing a 3-drop because you wanted to play a Prismatic Barrier. And so when it comes to these combat tricks you're adding to your deck, do try to skew cheaper than more expensive. And then after that, just try to find whatever removal that you can. These decks, the general weakness in these decks is a curve problem, which here we fixed with Noxus. We did get this nice package of Noxus 2-drops. And then the other big problem is your interaction/removal. In this run, we didn't find any detains, no concerted strikes. We didn't find any knocks and guillotines, no harsh winds. These are cards that, we just didn't see. It's not like we even made a decision if we wanted them in our deck or not. We just straight up didn't see them. And so, you need to be pretty mindful of at least, picking up something garbagey like a Scorched Earth, having access to a Nox and Fervor. The things that that's just how you'll really get burnt in this deck, is just not being able to interact. So, nonetheless, I think this was a pretty reasonable primer on the Suit Up theme here. Again, we don't really like Fiora. Sejuani's pretty good. And then try to focus on all the overwhelms that you can. Keep your curve low. You want your combat tricks to be these cheap ones, and then whatever interaction that you come across, you need to highly consider taking it, whether or not it's these the challengers like Stalking Wolf or Glory Seeker, these bad removal spells like Nox and Fervor, or the actual good removal spells like your Detains and your Harsh Winds. You need to find that interaction and take it highly if you see it. But that's going to do it for this run today. I think we do have a section of rewards to click on. Can't retire and claim just yet, but I think some of these event passes are coming. Which one is this? Oh, let's go get it. It wasn't Bring the Thunder or whatever the fuck that thing's called to make us get all salty. That one seems more legitimate. Okay. Is this some kind of card back? Sure. 1,000 shards. We don't need him to get into the next run, but it'd be nice if we did. Oh man, we got all kinds of stuff going on here. Emotes. Maybe I'll use an emote one day. You never know. Maybe I'll use an emote. But I think that's gonna do it. Yep, that's it for today. I hope you all enjoyed the run. You learned a little something along the way and had a good time. This is Free to Play Bust, and we thank you for being here.